What if a simple object, something made to be looked at, could look back? Not with painted eyes, but with a real unseen malice. Art is supposed to make you feel something. Joy, wonder, maybe a little sadness. But a handful of canvases out there are said to evoke something else entirely. Terror, bad luck, and even death. These aren't just paintings, they're legends, wrapped in whispers of paranormal activity and strange tragedies. People have blamed them for destroying their homes, their sanity, and even their lives. Welcome to the Diabolist's Lab, a place where faith, fear, and forbidden truths collide. Tonight, we're looking past the brushstrokes and staring straight into the abyss. We're going to explore the dark histories of three of the most notoriously cursed paintings in the world. We'll dig into how they got their sinister reputations and share the chilling stories of the people who were brave or foolish enough to own them. So forget what you know about quiet art galleries. This is a tour of a collection where every piece comes with a warning, and the price of owning one might just be your soul. Enter if you dare. Exit if you can. And don't forget, if these tales intrigue or disturb you, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to the Diabolist's Lab on YouTube and TikTok. Now, let's begin. The hands resist him. First up is arguably the most famous haunted painting of the internet age. It's called The Hands Resist Him. And it's the perfect example of how a picture can take on a terrifying life of its own. Painted back in 1972 by an artist named Bill Stoneham, the piece is unsettling right from the first glance. It shows a young boy with a blank stare, standing next to a creepy, life-sized doll with hollowed-out eyes. Behind them is a glass door, and you can see dozens of disembodied hands pressing against it from the darkness on the other side. Stoneham said the boy is based on a photo of himself when he was 5. He explained that the door is meant to be the line between the waking world and the world of dreams, with the doll as a guide. And the hands? Those are supposed to represent different lives we could have lived, but the public came up with a much, much darker story. The painting was first shown in a Los Angeles gallery in 1974, and that's where the story of its curse really begins. According to the artist himself, both the owner of the gallery and the art critic from the Los Angeles Times who reviewed it died within just a year of the show. After that, the painting basically vanished for decades. It didn't pop up again until the year 2000, in one of the last places you'd ever expect, an eBay auction. An anonymous couple listed the painting with a wild story. They claimed they'd found it abandoned behind an old brewery. Their eBay description, all in panicked capital letters, became an internet legend. They wrote that their little 4-year-old daughter told them the figures in the painting would move at night, and sometimes even come into the room and start fighting. To prove it, the father set up a motion-activated camera. The couple claimed it actually caught the boy crawling out of the frame. The auction went viral. People from all over reported feeling sick, fainting, or just being hit with a wave of dread simply by looking at the picture online. The story became one of the first big creepypastas. a horror story spreading from screen to screen. The painting eventually sold for a little over $1,000 to a gallery owner in Michigan named Kim Smith. She still has it, and it's reportedly kept locked away. Bill Stoneham was shocked by how the lore around his painting exploded, but he's since embraced it. He's even painted sequels and a prequel exploring what happened to the characters. The prequel is now hanging in the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas. Still, the original is the one everyone fears. Is it really a portal for the paranormal, or just a classic case of the internet creating its own monster? Either way, the hands resist him proves that once a curse takes hold of our imagination, the art doesn't really belong to the artist anymore. The Crying Boy. Some curses aren't just limited to one expensive painting. Sometimes they get mass-produced. Our second painting is The Crying Boy, a print that became a fixture in British homes long before it became a symbol of fiery doom. The story starts in the 1950s with an Italian painter, Bruno Amadio, who went by the name Giovanna Bragolin. He painted a whole series of portraits of tearful children. These were then mass-produced as prints and sold to families and tourists all over Europe. And they were incredibly popular. By the 70s and 80s, it felt like a Crying Boy print was hanging in every other living room in Britain. They were a bit kitschy, sure, but people loved the sentimental pictures of beautiful, sad-eyed kids. Then, the fires started. On September 5th, 1985, the British tabloid The Sun ran a story with a shocking headline, "Blazing Curse of the Crying Boy." It told the story of a couple whose home had been destroyed by a fire. In the middle of all the charred wreckage, firefighters found only one thing that was perfectly fine: a print of the Crying Boy. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. A firefighter from Yorkshire claimed that crews all over northern England kept finding the exact same undamaged prints in the ruins of house fires. The story set off a nationwide panic. The Sun was flooded with calls from people who owned the print and were now terrified. The paper kept running stories of fires where, sure enough, the boy's portrait survived. One guy even bought a print just to test the legend, and his house mysteriously burned down soon after. The legend just spun more and more out of control. Rumors started about who the boy in the painting really was. One popular story, with absolutely no proof, claimed he was an orphan nicknamed Diablo, or Devil, whose parents died in a fire, and who brought flames with him wherever he went. The tale even claimed that the artist's own studio burned down and the boy later died in a fiery car crash. Things got so crazy that the Sun organized huge bonfires, telling readers to mail in their cursed prints to be destroyed. So why did the paintings actually survive the fires? The BBC looked into it and found a pretty simple answer. The prints were coated in a varnish that happened to be a fire retardant, and they were printed on a dense hard board that was tough to set on fire. The string holding the picture to the wall would burn away first, making the painting fall face down and protecting the image from the heat. But even with that logical explanation, the curse of the Crying Boy still lives on. It's a scary reminder of how quickly fear can spread, and how a simple, sad picture can become the face of a fiery phantom. The Dead Mother. Our final painting takes us from urban legends into the world of fine art with a piece by one of history's most famously tormented artists, Edvard Munch. You might see it called Death and the Child, but the work is more accurately titled The Dead Mother, and it is absolutely drenched in real-life tragedy and haunted by chilling stories. Edvard Munch's life was shaped by loss. He lost both his mother and his sister to tuberculosis when he was just a kid. He once wrote, "My home was the home of illness and death. I've never gotten over the calamity there." This painting is a brutal reflection of that trauma. It shows a small girl, her face a mask of horror, pressing her hands to her ears. She's trying and failing to block out the sight of her mother, pale and lifeless in a bed right behind her. The painting isn't just about dying. It's about the psychological scar that death leaves on the living. The painting, created around 1899, is now in a gallery in Germany. But its curse isn't about fires or bad luck. The horror of this painting is way more personal and psychological. People who've seen it say the little girl's terrified eyes seem to follow you around the room. Others have claimed to hear the faint sound of rustling bed sheets when they stand near the canvas. But the most disturbing story tied to the dead mother is much stranger. It's said that some people who've been around the painting have reported something truly unnerving. The girl will sometimes completely disappear from the canvas. The idea that the central figure, the very soul of the painting's grief, would just vanish is a deeply unsettling thought. It's as if her horror is so overwhelming that she has to literally flee the frame to escape it. Unlike the other paintings, the terror of the dead mother doesn't feel like an outside curse. It feels like an internal one, an echo of the profound grief and mental turmoil that Munch poured onto the canvas. The artist was a master at painting raw emotion, at making anxiety and dread visible. Maybe this painting is just too good at its job. It doesn't just show you grief, it makes you feel it, hear it, and for some, even witness its ghostly escape. The curse here might not be supernatural, but the lasting stain of human suffering. A trauma so powerful it has stained the canvas forever. Darkness doesn't always hide. Sometimes it invites you in. So, from a viral internet ghost story to a mass-produced fire starter to a masterpiece of grief, these three paintings have a dark and powerful hold on our minds. They seem to act as containers for our deepest fears of death, destruction, and the things we can't explain. But the question is, are they really cursed? Or are they just blank canvases that we project our own anxieties onto? Maybe it's all psychological, the power of suggestion, or just our brain's weird habit of seeing patterns and faces where there aren't any. Or maybe, just maybe, intense human emotion, grief, fear, tragedy, can leave an echo behind, an energy that clings to an object and refuses to fade. An energy you can still feel and fear decades later. And if you know of any other cursed object with terrifying backstories, we'd love to hear about them. If this video left you questioning everything, show your support with a like and drop a comment with your theory. Subscribe to the Diabolists Lab on YouTube and TikTok, and if our work speaks to you, consider fueling the fire through the Ko-fi link in the description. And remember, keep your eyes open and your doors locked. Evil waits for those who open the wrong one.